Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law. As always, I hope you're having a great evening, and welcome to our weekly question and answer. This is our second one at a regular time, Tuesdays at 7 p.m., and I think this time is working out well for us. Thank you for being here for our weekly Q&A. Just as an FYI, the last one of the month will be members only, so that will be next week at this time. So we'll make everyone can see the stream, but only members will be able to ask questions. And so that's a way to, give something back to the members and, make sure that to incentivize people to become members, right? So just as FYI, the last one of the month will be members only. And as always, if we run out of questions in the chat, then we'll just go back to YouTube and look at the comments from videos. So that's the way we're going to handle it. And as you can see, we're still trying to find the member badges. Not really liking it, but we're working on it. We keep playing it. We'll find something that works. I think we have a problem where we have to choose between light mode and dark mode. And I think we're just going to say dark mode and the light mode people are going to have to live with bad icons. We'll change the color scheme to work well with black. Anywho, so let's start, as always, with the ones from Discord, because that is the place to ask questions in between different weeks, if I can find the right channel. There's the right channel. Great. Mark that as complete because I saw that. All right. So Azeroth said, should email be considered the same as mail for purposes of the law? I mean, probably not. Email and mail are different in a lot of key ways. I mean, mail only goes through, at least if you're in the United States, right? If you're going out internationally, you have other problems. But if you're in the United States, it's only going through three sets of hands: yours, the postal service, and the person you're sending it to, right? So it's in government transit the entire time from place to place, as opposed to a email, which goes through, your ISP and God knows where else before getting to their ISP and, or the cloud or wherever, and gets shared all around. So it's a completely different environment. And also, of course, physical mail can't be copied or duplicated, in the same way email can. So there's a lot of different things there. So I don't think it should be treated the same way. I think probably treating them differently is perfectly appropriate. So I don't think so. That isn't, of course, to say either the laws dealing with email or the laws dealing with letters shouldn't be changed or updated. But I think that they're different enough that they probably should belong in two different categories. But thank you for the question. Someone asked about LegalEagle. The Canine asked, I always wanted to ask this for a long time, but you promised us updates on the lawsuit. But this was the first and last video about it, so I was always wondering what happened to it. Well, what's been happening to it is for the LegalEagle. So LegalEagle sued to get information from the government under FOIA. And what's been happening about it is they've been dicking around in motions. They've just been going back and forth on motions. And it's completely it's just banal, uninteresting stuff. It's just boring motion practice. So there's not really been anything substantive, but I'll tell you what we'll do. I think what we could do is we could just have an update video, and we'll do a live stream, and we'll just do a live stream, and we'll just kind of give a summary of what has happened. I think that'll be fair. We won't read every document, obviously, but we'll just give a summary of all the things that have happened, and so just we can catch up with the story. So I think that's fair. So I think we'll aim to do that sometime this week, probably on Thursday. Yeah. So maybe on Thursday or Friday, we'll try to find a time and we'll just do a stream. We'll update everyone. Trisha asked, postal service question here. Someone buys something on the internet. It's given to USPS for transport. Who owns the item in the parcel? The sender or receiver? Well, it depends on the terms of service of the company you're buying it from. To be honest, they're the ones that set that out. They can change it by contract. So it depends how their contracts are written. But typically, by law, it would remain the possession of the person who's transporting it until it's received. That's why, incidentally, if you're sending a letter or a package, you can put insurance on it. So if it gets lost in transit, you get paid because it's still your property while it's in transit, right? So, but that can be changed by contract. So if the company says, the moment we post it, it becomes yours, then then you pay for any loss in transit. So some companies write their contracts that way, so it depends. Butch said, can a lawsuit that's already been filed and in the process add plaintiffs or defendants? Yes, it can, and that often does happen as the case develops, particularly if there are parties unknown, and also to the extent that there should be joinder, which is where you bring in a different party to join different cases, which sometimes happens either mandatorily or optionally. So yes, different people can be added to the lawsuit as the thing grows. It's possible, especially in the early stages of the lawsuit. But thank you. So let us read some of the questions, and we'll just go back up to the top and deal with the questions as they appear. Yeah, we're still working on the icons. We'll get done. This is going to be a fun Q&A, I'm sure. I hope it always is. Next week will be OnlyFans. Yeah, that's right, Letta. That's nice. January flew by. It did, didn't it? Viden said evening. Good evening to you. The coin icon seems like pretty good. A. Hedinger likes it. Christina's here. Hello, Christina. Nice to have you here as always. Dark mode is the one true mode? Yeah. Quirky says, I strongly prefer not dark mode, but I'm going to force people to change things to suit me. Yeah, this, we have to make a compromise. We only get one set of icons, so we can make it look good on light mode, make it look good on dark mode, or try to find something that works for both. And right now, we're on the try to find something that works for both, and I kind of hate it. I kind of like what Emily's doing with just the gavel, which is also why I did just the scales, and then someone complained about the color scheme because it doesn't look good in dark mode. So I think we're going to have to suck it up and just go back to the scales without the background and change the color so it looks good on dark mode. So I think that will be the compromise because we can't make everyone happy. So, yeah. Can the presidential pardon be reversed? Until it is accepted, yes. Until it's accepted, yes. So it actually has to be delivered and accepted. This is very similar to the delivery of the commission from it's like the most foundational case in all of constitutional law. Kurt, why can't you remember the name of the case? Marbury versus Madison. That'd be the one I'm going for. Yeah, until it's actually delivered, it doesn't exist. So yeah, once it's accepted, you can't reverse it. But until it's accepted, yes, you could reverse it. Which incidentally is a problem for the pardons that Trump might be considering right now. Because he has to get those delivered and accepted before noon tomorrow. So that puts some limit. That's assuming, of course, that Biden would want to reverse any of them. But that is a practical limitation at this point. So we will see how that goes. How long does it usually take to trace hackers? Depends how clever they are. For script kiddies, not very long. For big hackers that are bouncing their stuff and, really making it hard, it can be very difficult. So it depends on how good they are. I heard Trump was going on a pardon spree, but still hasn't. You think he will? The rumor was that he was going to pardon like 100 people, and they were working on the paperwork up till midnight. And it looks like it's just going to be a lot of kind of banal pardons. The kind of thing that you would just expect from any administration. So, relating to criminal justice reform. So, pardoning people and shortening their sentences for people convicted of various crimes. Kind of like the kind of thing that you'd see in any administration. So, it looks like if at least what the White House is saying, there are not going to be any spicy ones. And so it definitely seems, for example, that we won't get Snowden or Assange. That seems like that's not going to happen. Again, because that would be really hard to deliver by noon tomorrow, assuming that Biden wanted to reverse them. Right? So that'd be a little bit hard to get them pardoned in time. So, yeah, because it would have to be actually delivered, And, that's, problem. Is there a join link for iPhone users? As a matter of fact, there is. The Discord bot should be reminding you every once in a while if the Discord bot is working. So if the Discord at the Streamlabs bot is working. So the Streamlabs bot should give you a link every once in a while that you can click on to click that. Is the bot working? Not that we've seen so far. How about Flynn? That pardon was accepted. So that's complete. Tiger King? Yeah, I don't know about that one. The rumor was he might pardon the Tiger King. Is acceptance a part of admission of guilt? We discussed this before. There's language in a Supreme Court case that kind of implies the answer is yes, but it also is more naturally read to me as saying that a acceptance of a pardon could be perceived as acceptance of guilt. Not that it does accept guilt, but the language is open to interpretation. So there was a language in like a 1930 something case that said accepting the pardon is acceptance of guilt. But I think what they're really saying is that it was the perception of it, not the reality of it. So the idea is that you could refuse a pardon because to accept one could be perceived by someone as you admitting your guilt. Because why would you need a pardon if you weren't guilty? So you would have a right to refuse it to protect your honor. So I don't think it does in fact make you guilty. It doesn't in fact confess guilt, if I'm understanding the Supreme Court, what they wrote properly. So it doesn't confess guilt. It's that it could be perceived to confess guilt. That's the way I read the case, at least. Saw the raid on Emily's last night, loved it. Yeah, I tried to show a little bit of support, and I thought it was fun. I thought it worked out really well. And then I got muted, or one of my messages deleted by Emily's mods, who were a little over aggressive, but that's okay. Do you plan on joining Biden's Justice Department? If they'd hire me, I'm open for the DC Attorney's Office. I'll tell you what, man. Any hope for Assange or Snowden? Looks like no. Yeah, you guys are debating the color scheme. I'll let you guys debate the color scheme. Would I ever look at an ongoing criminal case like Lori Vallow or Chad Daybell? The problem with ongoing criminal cases is that there's not a lot of stuff usually. Well, first of all, there's two problems. First of all, ongoing criminal cases are usually state level, and state level systems are a pain in the ass as opposed to federal. So federal cases have PACER, and PACER, for all its problems, is better than any state system. So if it was federal criminal, I could follow that a lot easier. But most crime cases are state, and state criminal systems suck and usually are very expensive, and sometimes it's very hard to get the records, and it's a pain in the ass. So there's that problem. There's a practical problem. And then also, like, the stuff that's covered in the motion practice is a little less informative than it is in the civil case. So I wouldn't necessarily have an objection to covering an ongoing criminal case, but if it's a state level case, it just makes it hard. Oh, YouTube is adding closed captions right now? Excellent. Yeah, I don't know why closed captions were not on before, or what I did, but apparently YouTube is now adding closed captions again. So I don't know why, but apparently that's happening. Have I seen Hoffman versus Schroederberg in Florida, similar to Toddy versus KG, regarding defamation? Yeah, again, if that is that Florida state or Florida federal? Let me just Google that real fast, because if it's Florida state, same problem. But let's take a look. Yeah, it's state. So it's the state of Florida, not federal court, and therefore it's a pain in the ass. So, yeah. Can someone be prosecuted for threats made online anonymously? Sure. I mean, you have to ultimately figure out who they are. But, yeah, you can if you can figure out who they are. After a pardon, do you lose your Fifth Amendment protection? Yes, for federal, because you no longer have any criminal immunity. So to the extent you have any state exposure, you would still have immunity for state crimes if you had any. But if they're purely federal crimes, then you would have no immunity, or you'd have no Fifth Amendment because you have no exposure. So you could be compelled to testify because you can't possibly incriminate yourself, right? So yeah. Does bingo card already contain police officer was investigated by internal investigations for parade misconduct? No, not probably for this. So the bingo card refers specifically to the Capitol Hill riots. So I don't know that we'll get that particular square, but who knows at this point. Flynn was already pardoned. Yes, that pardon was accepted. That's complete. That cannot be revoked. Can you email pardon? No. They print them out on really fancy paper and they get the actual seal of the United States and stamp it and all that crap. So no. I mean, I guess technically the president can do anything he wants, but no. First time commenting. In your opinion, has Emily done anything that would cause her to be drugged into suit? No, I don't think so. Emily's been giving commentary and critique from her position and just analyzing the case. I don't see anything wrong that would get her dragged into the case. And I don't have any problem with anything Emily has said in terms of her analysis. It seems sometimes, and I don't know if this is true, but it seems sometimes that some of the people in the chat might be trying to get a beef started between me and Emily. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. I disagree with some of Emily's analysis, but I understand where it's coming from. I don't think it's absurd. I understand why she's reaching the conclusions she does. So I get it. I understand it. It's within the bounds of a reasonable opinion, in my view. And I just have a different reasonable opinion in my view. So everything Emily has said, as far as I can tell, is well within the bounds of what a lawyer could reasonably conclude. So even where she disagrees with me, I'm like, okay, we just have a difference of opinion. And she might be right. She might very well be right. That's one of the benefits of having multiple voices. So I don't know if people are trying to start a beef between me and Emily, but no. She'd have to say something really off the wall, and that seems a little unlikely given what we know so far. But yeah, I don't see anything that's going to get Emily dragged in the case, because what possible relevance could she have? Would that also apply especially to conditional pardons? No. If a conditional pardon is accepted, it's as valid as an unconditional pardon. The conditions are all on the prisoner's side and not on the government's side, so those can't be revoked anywhere either. Didn't Nixon declare guilt to get his pardon? Again, it depends a little bit how you interpret the U.S. Supreme Court case on this point. Did Nixon accept guilt to get his pardon? Depends on how you view the Supreme Court case. I don't think the answer is yes. It depends how you read the language. We quoted the language before. Let me see if I can find it again. I'll just quote it back to you. Let me see if I can find the exact language. It's from Burdick versus United States. And let me get the exact language the Supreme Court wrote. And you can interpret for yourself what you think it means. If I can find the language. So, here's some language from it. Here's some language. Indeed, the grace of a pardon, though good in its intention, may only be in pretense or seeming. In pretense, as having purpose, not moving from the individual to whom it is offered. In seeming, as involving consequences of either even greater disgrace from those which it purports to relieve. So the Supreme Court is saying that the acceptance of the pardon could be, if they say involving consequences of greater disgrace than what it purports to solve. So it could be viewed that way at least. Circumstances may be made to bring innocence under the penalty of law. If so brought, escape by confession of guilt implied in the acceptance of a pardon may be rejected, preferring to be the victim of the law rather than as acknowledged transgressor, preferring death even to such infamy. This is, theoretically, is a right, and a right often best tested in extremes. It may be supposed, the court has said, that no being condemned to death would reject a pardon, but the rule must be the same in capital cases and in misdemeanors. A pardon may be conditional, and the condition may be more objectionable than punishment inflicted. So it depends a little bit how you parse that language, but I think they were trying to say it was perceived that way, not that it is that way. And then there's a little bit language later in it when they talk about the difference between a legislature retroactively declaring something to be non-criminal and a pardon. So in that they say this. This brings us to the difference between legislative immunity, which is the retroactively making it not illegal, and a pardon. The differences between the two. The court continues. They are substantial. The latter, acceptance of the pardon, carries an imputation of guilt, acceptance a confession of it. The former, the legislative immunity, has no such imputation or confession. It is tantamount to the silence of a witness. is non-committal. It is the unobtrusive act of the law given protection against a sinister use of testimony, not like a pardon, requiring him to confess his guilt in order to avoid conviction of it. So that's what the Supreme Court wrote. So it depends a little bit how you parse that language. I think the better parsing of it personally is the Supreme Court was saying it could be perceived that way, not that it is that way. But the language is what it is, and so you can interpret that for yourself. I have no idea what I did to turn on the closed captioning. I have zero clue what I did to turn on the closed captioning. I have no idea what I did to turn it off in the first place. So, super. What is my favorite flavor of legal tea you've done frequently? I think the KJ Toddy case I prefer a little bit more for the tea, although I tend to ignore the tea and be a little bit more unreactive to it compared to Emily. A little bit more just matter of fact about it, which I suppose is very interesting for our reactions, right? I'm just kind of matter of fact, and Emily is very interesting in her reactions to me, right? Because Emily was like, she does this one thing where she's like, same girl, same girl, same. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? I mean, I know what it means. Like, Emily's having a certain perception of it as it's like scandalous or it's gossipy. Emily thinks that, and she thinks that the people listening to it are also having the same reaction. So she's saying, I think you're having the same reaction I am, which is that this is really like dishing dirt and shade and just all the rest of it. She's like, same girl, same. And I'm like, that is not a reaction that I would have her have. I'm just like, okay, we're just analyzing this thing now. So it's just very interesting to see our different reactions. She has this very sort of dishing the dirt kind of motif going, which is working for her. Just not my speed, really. Who do you think he should pardon? Oh man, that's complicated. I think he should probably pardon Assange because I don't think Assange has really broken the U.S. law, as far as I can tell. Now maybe there's more information that would lead the U.S. government to a different conclusion, but based on the information that's publicly available, I don't think Assange has really broke the U.S. law. So Assange seems like a pretty natural candidate. Snowden is a harder call. It depends a lot about a lot of things. So I don't know. If I could standardize, Dasm says, if you could standardize the legal process, including case file reporting across every court in the U.S., would you? Yes. That'd be great. What harms, benefits are there? Can't really speak to any harms. I don't know of any. The benefits would be I would have access to all the cases in one place. It'd be great. So I'm going to go say yes for that. I don't know if there's downside to that. What's your guess as to why many charges were held back in the Capitol riots? Just time constraints, trying for higher throughput, or some deeper negotiating tactic? I just think it's to just get things started. Just to be able to identify them and get them on the books, as it were. I think the initial thing is just get them on the books, just identify them, right? And we can worry about the rest later. So I think it's the idea of let's get, all the files for all these people started before we just start digging into more stuff. So we'll just charge them basically all with trespass and disorderly conduct. It's an easy gimme for all of them. And then once we have files on everybody, once we've got enough of these things started, then we can start to develop it a little bit more. Part of the reason is also because they just don't have enough evidence yet for other things in general. Because trespass and disorderly conduct is a gimme. You were there and you were disrupting. I mean, it's a gimme charge. So other things require a little bit more analysis of the facts. So, in terms of getting them on the books and getting the case started, they're doing completely the right thing and worry about the rest later. So I don't think there's a tactic beyond that. I think the idea is just let's get these people on the books, and let's just get these things started and work from there. If a defendant has state and legal charges filed against them, what takes precedence? You mean federal? State and federal charges? What takes precedence is who gets to them first. And that's the rule. Whoever gets them first wins. You know. Now, I don't know if there's some exception to that for like particular federal crimes or something. But as a general proposition, whoever gets them first wins. And then they're the people who charge them first. So like if you were, convicted, if you're caught by the state first, you serve your state time before you serve your federal time, or the other way around. Who got to you first? Why do feds also have jurisdiction in bank robberies? Because of interstate commerce. When you say, why does the federal government have jurisdiction in blank? The answer is because of interstate commerce. That would be why. Joe's Med says, as a practical matter, it's difficult to prosecute anyone for what they do anonymously because you have to find out who they are. Fair. But sometimes that's more easily determinable than that. Bingo card needs change Facebook status to being angry at the Capitol with a friend. That's nice. I like that one. KG's trying to drag her into the case for sure. Quite possibly. Law can be interpreted differently. It's okay to have different viewpoints and still be friends. Yeah. And I don't particularly object to any of Emily's interpretations. I don't think she's wrong, like in some fundamental way, like I did with LegalEagle, for example, with the Captain Marvel thing. I thought LegalEagle was wrong. I thought he was very wrong. And I took a lot of exception to how wrong he was. And I still think he's really, really wrong. But I don't feel that way about Emily. I'm like, I don't think she's wrong. I just don't necessarily agree with the conclusion. I have slightly different conclusions. But her conclusions make perfect logical sense. And they might even be right. So, I think it's fine. Rick says, we love Emily D. Baker. You haters can just get out. I hope that was close enough for Sarah Slag. Yeah. Christina says, please don't harass anyone. Yeah, no joke. I love going to Emily first for the girl talk. Yeah, that's girl talk. I don't understand it, but okay. You girls, if it works for you, I guess, do the girl talk thing. Then they come to you for more level-headed. Then I come to my own conclusions. Love you both. Great. Grace Case said, just my opinion, but I think that question was not about trying to start a beef, but was about KJ's threats towards bringing suit against Emily. Fair? That might be. Yeah, Rick is supposed to have a wrench. Rick does have a wrench. He just doesn't have a wrench. It's YouTube. The same reason that closed captioning hasn't been working for a couple days. Maybe I should remove Rick as a mod and then add him back as a mod and see if that works. I have to go into my YouTube settings for that, so maybe later. Beef with bourbon, yeah. Iva says, you used to share membership numbers and other channel stats. Oh, sure. Yeah. I like doing that. So I'll be happy to share the stats. I just didn't do that for today for no particular reason. So where are we on the channel? Let's take a look. Why did I do it? I have no idea. Yeah, but as of today, we are at 22,000, or as of right this second to be more proper, we are at 22,777. That is plus 4,200 in the last 4 weeks. So the channel is growing very nicely. And we are getting some nice live stream numbers and getting some real nice participation. And so that's all plus. So that is great. And the numbers are looking really, really good right now. Justin said roll Tide because he wants me to hate him, apparently. Is the bot not announcing things? The bot is not announcing things. That's nice. The bot is not working anymore. That's good news. Let me go in and fix that real fast and see if I can get the bot to start announcing things. Sometimes the bot just stops working too. It's one of the wonderful things about being a YouTube creator. Now I have to do this, go in there, and I have to change it. So I have to disable it, reload it, enable it. all that great stuff. So go here, disable the bot, reload, enable the bot, reload. Great. Let's see if that worked. Alex said, have you seen the Paul M. Davis lawsuit trying to disqualify the entire Senate? I have not seen that, no. Rick said closed captioning on live is different. One system does live and the other comes across and adds. Yeah, I know. Tiger King is convinced he's getting pardoned? He might be. I guess we'll find out. Assange is in jail, but Snowden is not. I don't know if Assange is technically in jail or not. I'm not 100% sure about that. I know they just denied extradition to Assange. The government of whatever, presumably the UK, denied extradition on the basis that he thought they'd get cruel and unusual punishment. But yeah, I don't know if he's technically in jail or not in the UK. But Snowden is definitely not. Do attorneys need different licensure to practice in federal versus state courts? Yes. You need a license for every court that you want to participate in. Now, in state court, if state court, you're admitted to the Supreme Court of the state, and then you're admitted to all the courts of that state. So it's nice. So I'm like admitted to the Supreme Court of Virginia, which means I'm licensed in every court in Virginia. All right? Because that makes sense. I'm licensed in the U.S. Supreme Court. Does that mean I'm admitted in every federal court? Nope. It's a bit of a sore point. The federal ones, you have to be admitted to all separately. It's annoying. If I could overturn which one Supreme Court, which would you flip? Ooh, it's always a tough case between Wickard and Chevron. But I'm such not a fan of the administrative state. Congress having power is bad. The administrative state having power is worse. Let's overturn Chevron. That's probably more priority. Nate the Lawyer's here. Hello, Nate the Lawyer. Nice to have you here as always. Nate the Lawyer is awesome. Always remember to check out his channel. Can impeachment with no evidence of a crime be considered sedition? No. Impeachment is a purely political question. It's up to the Senate to figure out what the rules are, because they are the judge. So no, it's not sedition. It's an authorized practice in the Constitution. How could it possibly be considered sedition? It doesn't even make sense. So no. Alex says, what do you think about the girl who's allegedly selling Pelosi's laptop to Russia? What case will go after that? Is that treason? I don't think any of this is treason. Treason is a very hard reach, and it's also completely unnecessary. But they'll get her for the Computer Fraud Abuse Act, which is pretty penniless, and they'll probably get her for maybe like espionage or something. That'd be fun. Or, so they'll get her for some pretty serious charges by the time they're done. So I don't think any of these people are going to be treason. It was on my list kind of as a reach, but treason's really hard. But yeah, we can get there. DIR, Uncivil. Do attorneys have to? Yeah, we did that. Tiger King will get a pardon and Carol Baskin will go next. 90 Knot says, I don't understand the girl talk either. Yeah. Mary B says, you're not supposed to understand the girl talk. Then it's working. Camilla says, yay, finally got to see you live. The FBI videos are my favorite. I'm glad you like it, Camilla. That's awesome. What about channel members? How many members of the channel? Let's see. What is the channel members right now? Let's see. How do I get that? Is it under analytics? Where is it? I have to remember where it is because it's not on the page with everything else. Because, YouTube. So my audience tab? Yes, I think. No. Where is the damn membership tab? What if I go to my dashboard and go to monetization. Would be on there. Membership. Yes. 436. Wow, that's a lot. 436 members. Wow. That increased dramatically. Wow. That's awesome. $200 from Vincent Van Vega. Hi, Kurt. Thomas from Brazil. Hello, Thomas from Brazil. I missed your stream with Lewis yesterday. I just want to thank you for your awesome content. Thank you, Vincent. Or Thomas, whichever you prefer. Question, is there a way to send an affidavit from overseas using a foreign notary office? Well, that's complicated. I mean, if you want to send an affidavit, I mean, the only reason you'd be sending an affidavit would be on the request of an attorney. Like, you can't just send an affidavit into a court. Like, if you can't just send an affidavit yourself. And for that matter, I can't. Well, I guess I can because I'm an attorney. But if I weren't the attorney in the case, like, I can't just randomly submit an affidavit to a random case. I can't do that. Because who am I? So the only reason you'd be submitting an affidavit is if one of the attorneys wanted you to. And so they would tell you how to process that. I wouldn't know the exact rules because I've never had that come up. Dasm says, have you ever considered getting some of the law YouTubers together for non-legal content? Say like Among Us Chess or something like Secret Santa. I'd be happy to. But coordinating with these people, no disrespect to any of them, because they're all busy, I'm sure. But coordinating with them is like herding cats. It's difficult to get these people on the same page for anything. But would I like to play Among Us with them? Hell yes. Hell yes. I'd love to play Among Us with them. That'd be great. Feel free to reach out to me. That'd be awesome. What do I think about Suntoner Japanese whiskey? Not a fave. Not a fave. I don't. The Japanese whiskey is technically good, but I just don't like it as much. It's just a personal opinion. I like bourbon a little bit more. And also, the real problem with Japanese whiskey is what is Japanese whiskey? This is the real problem with Japanese whiskey, because they're so loose with their definitions that you don't even know what Japanese whiskey is. Seriously, you don't even know what it is. Was the grain harvested there? Was it made there? Was it bottled there? Apparently, Japanese whiskey seems to mean if any part of the process whatsoever took place in Japan. So, Japan is not very good with their definitions of what whiskey comprises, or Japanese whiskey comprises. So it's kind of annoying. So yeah, Japanese need to pick up on this, and they need to be a lot more stringent with their definition. Maybe Japanese whiskey should be whiskey made from things that grow in Japan and distilled in Japan. Maybe that should be the rule. But yeah. Ryan says you got to step it up on Tea Talks. If Emily got mentioned in the KJ case, she must be doing something correctly. I'm doing the best I can. How do you find membership? Well, the bot should be announcing it. If it's not, oh my God. My thought on the Sedition Act and Espionage Act passed in 1917 and 18. How it compares to the topic of sedition today? Well, the law is the same as it was then, right? So does it fit within the bounds of that law or not? I think conspiracy for sedition could definitely come up with some of these people for the Capitol if you can prove the conspiracy. But, yeah. MI says, what state exam would you suggest to do for someone who studied law abroad and wants to practice in the U.S.? DC? Yeah, DC probably is your best bet. Actually, these days, it doesn't matter as much because these days there's this whole multi-state thing, and which DC is a member. So like 35 states use the same exam, including DC. So any of them would be fine at this point. This wasn't true when I took the bar, incidentally, in 2007. This didn't exist in 2007. It only started to exist in 2008. I'm a little bitter about it. So, yeah. Am I reading super chats? Well, I'm trying to read as much as I can and trying to keep up, and it's challenging, but yes, I hope so. I'm trying to read all the things. Red Guy says $5. Since impeachment is purely political, why can't they just be honest and do it on the grounds they don't like him? Well, I don't know. They could. Why aren't they? Probably for political reasons, right? It would be politically untenable. So the reason they're not doing it is for political reasons. That's what's going on there. The Streamlabs bot is now working. Thank God. Really like the member icon? I'm not sold. Living for the FBIT, had to snatch the membership ad. Thank you, Elizabeth. What would it take to get an Uncivil Law coffee mug? I don't think I'm going to have merch before 50,000 subscribers. I think it's, I think that's a reasonable place to do it. So I don't think I'm going to have merch anytime in the near future. Get me 30,000 more subs and we'll talk. Andy B. So impeachment can be brought on any ground and the Senate can confirm it on any ground. So executive can be booted for any reason as an overthrowing. As a practical matter, yes. Because the Constitution says you can be impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors. But it also says the House is the sole body that can bring impeachment. And the Senate is the sole body to try impeachment. So what high crimes and misdemeanors means as a purely practical level is whatever the House and Senate says it means, because they're the ones that have the power to impeach and the power to judge the impeachment, right? They can't be overruled. They are the final authority. So what high crimes and misdemeanors means is up to the House to decide for the impeachment and up to the Senate to decide for the conviction as a purely practical matter, because there's nowhere to appeal to. They are the end of the road when it comes to impeachment. So yeah, as a purely practical matter, they can impeach for any reason as far as I'm concerned, within the bounds of what the Constitution says. Now, what that term high crimes and misdemeanor means, or what it was supposed to mean, or what the founders have in mind, is a perfectly reasonable argument point if you're arguing the case, right? So if you're before the House or before the Senate and you're arguing, you would be perfectly within the bounds to say, well, here's what high crimes and misdemeanors meant. Here's what the founders were trying to capture. And they weren't trying to capture everything, which is true. Like, the founders weren't trying to capture everything. But as a purely practical matter, because of the mechanism of it, yeah, this House and Senate can do whatever they want. But, of course, the problem there is also political. So if the House and if the Senate were to do that, it sets the precedent that is a thing they can do. And of course, that swings both ways, right? So there are disincentives, which are political in nature. And also, the American people wouldn't accept it or be less likely to accept it. So there are political reasons for them not to do it, right? There's immediate political reasons, the wrath of the constituents, and there's long-term political reasons, the fact that the other party would use that precedent as a basis to do it to your guy. So the political process is prevented from going off the rails by the political repercussions of its own nature. Because, of course, the House and Senate are the sole judge of impeachment, but the American people are the judge of them, and so forth and so on. So there's some check there. Do they have to prove she was seriously intending to sell to Russia? That would be helpful. Trying to find to be a member of the link. Streamlabs should be giving the link to it at various points. You have to have a VOD JJ to understand our girl talk? Apparently, ma'am. Same girl, same. Same girl, same. What? It has this very dishy, catty thing going on to it. It's like you can when she does that with that same girl, same thing, what comes to mind is, and I don't mean this out of disrespect to Emily, but what comes to mind is like a group of like girls gossiping and like someone starting to overhear them and them like laughing to themselves because they were kind of overheard, right? So that like the idea is like you got the 3 or 4 girls like in the schoolyard and they're gossiping with each other and like a boy comes by that maybe they were talking about and they go tee hee 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 hee. Like, there's something very, I don't know, boys don't act that way. It's weird. Girl talk is its own special code to speak, just like legal jargon. I guess. I mean, yeah. Can impeachment be unconstitutional? No. What about the argument he can't be impeached after leaving office? That's for the House and Senate to decide. There was a case from Nixon, or there was a line from Nixon about this. Judge Nixon, I think. So that's U.S. versus Nixon, right? Something like that. Let's see. Or it's Nixon v. U.S. Damn it. Yeah, so Nixon versus United States. Judge Nixon was the case that determined whether the Senate had properly tried impeachment was a political question. So that's why, as a practical matter, they have so much latitude. Let me see if I can find the language in the case about I think there's some language in here that says basically they can do this. Yeah, I mean, Nixon versus United States is definitely the case that says the Supreme Court can't review this. So, I mean, that's pretty well established there. Yeah. There's some language in a U.S. Supreme Court case. That says something like this. I can't find it right now. But I think there's some language in a Supreme Court case that says something like that. Because I seem to remember reading it. Do I think Trump will pardon all the deplorables just because he wants to keep control of his brown shirts? No. Watch it. We'll need a movie night. Watch a legal movie. If I can find one on Amazon Prime, maybe. Congrats to all the 20,000 members. Whiskey should come from Tennessee or Texas. Fair. I've never even heard of Japanese whiskey. It's very technically, some of it's very technically good, but you know, there's problems there too. Who'd be the more incompetent lawyer? A lawyer that's disbarred in the state he's only pro hoc vicia, or the lawyer that's disbarred for telling jury? I think the killer should be executed. The second one would have to be true. Pro hoc vicia is kind of a courtesy anyway, so it's that's not as bad as telling him. I think the killer should be executed. Yeah, Andy B says Japanese whiskey is whiskey from anywhere. It's just blended and bottled there. Yeah, this is the problem. So, in what sense is it Japanese whiskey? I mean, where does it matter where it's blended and bottled? How much can it possibly matter, as opposed to where the grain is from? You know, so it's like, What? Where does the case of bourbon come in? Are you excited for it? It comes in on Thursday apparently, and I'm pretty excited about it. An uncivil law bourbon glass? That's not a bad idea. DIR says we're women, of course we're catty. I guess. 90 knots says same girl, same. I don't get it either. Yeah, it's like, okay. It feels like I don't want any part of whatever that is. That's my reaction. They do same girl, same. And I'm like, I don't want any piece of whatever this is. That's how I react to it. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to know what's going on. I'm out. And like, yeah, which may be the idea. Any advice for 1L? Just yeah. What's the famous phrasing? Yeah. Here's the advice for 1Ls, and here's the advice basically for all college students. Period. Sleep more than you party. Oh wait, no. Yeah, no. Sleep more than you study. Study more than you party. Party as much as you can. Or yeah, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, I think I got that right. Thank you for all the people becoming new members. I wish the YouTube chat wouldn't keep slamming to the bottom. I have to keep scrolling up and find out where I was every time. It's really annoying. How far would impeachment have to be stretched before someone would amend the Constitution, say it can be done for only a crime or overruling without a criminal fact? Well, amending the Constitution is also a political process. So there's nothing stopping it from happening right now. So how far would you have to go before that would happen? It's political. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. It's like, do it and find out, I guess. So I don't know. What watch am I wearing? Yeah, the new BD watch. Yeah, I'm wearing the Seiko Chrono, which I'm really digging. Am I a beer guy? Oh yes. I don't like sours, but otherwise I like beer. And I'm not as much a wine guy, but I do like wine. And I know quite a bit about wine because when I lived in Virginia, I used to go to wineries all the time. And I like going to wineries. It's a good date, incidentally. And yeah, so I like beers except for sours. I was on a brewery tour 2 weeks ago. It was really fun. And I need to go on some winery tours and find some Texas wineries. That'd be cool. But yeah, I love pretty much all the alcohols, and I know about them to varying degrees. Like I've done the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky, which is like 12 different distilleries. Ambassador for Maker's Mark, ambassador for Jack Daniels, which is of course in Tennessee. Um, Wine Club, been to Bordeaux, been to Lodi. Beer, drank my way through. When I was an undergrad, the bar that I drank at had like 120 beers. And if you drank them all, you got your name on the wall, and I did it 4 times. This might be a stupid question, but what is even the point of impeaching now? It seems like a waste of time. Well, presumably to disqualify him for holding future office is really the only thing that you can do practically. But and also just to send a message. What's wrong with Irish whiskey? Irish whiskey I like. Redbreast, 12 years, one of my favorites. Redbreast is a fantastic Irish whiskey. Jameson's also good, but Redbreast is much better. But yeah, Irish whiskeys are great. Scotch sucks because of the Scotch method. But yeah, Irish whiskeys, they're fine. Highland Park is the only Scotch whiskey that still controls the whole field to body process. Neat. Need an Uncivil Law beanie? Yeah, maybe. Do I believe Supreme Court should put their oral arguments to YouTube? Sure. They should make them widely available. The Supreme Court of the United States does, and OYE does, and it's educational. Why not? IPAs in Belgium's are the best. IPAs are like my go-to. Belgium's less so. Um, but yeah, I really like UK beers. There's some really good UK ones. That's surprisingly a really good source of beer. I think American beer is the best. German beer can be a little uninventive, but UK makes some interesting stuff. Would you consider covering the pardons when they come out? Sure, if there's anything of note, I'll be happy to. VA wineries are in fact great. A bit of Trek trivia from Grace Case. A bit of Trek trivia for you downtown folk. By a newish brewery down south called Meanwhile Brewery. Is that in Texas? I think it was there. Recently. Hold on. Yeah, I was there. It was a great brewery. I enjoyed it. And Meanwhile Brewery was very cool. I was there 2 weeks ago. Hypothetical, someone's pardoned for a crime, can they now legally profit from their now not crime? Yes. The Son of Sam laws would not apply to them in that circumstance. Yeah. I can't get Blackland to even email trying to get a bottle, but they won't ship it outside Texas. I know. It can be a problem. You have a diesel watch? That's okay. I'm good. It's unclear if the impeachment strips him of financial benefits of a former president because of the way the former president act is written. I got my brother Four Roses for Christmas. Did I go okay? Yeah, Four Roses is great. I really like their small batch. In fact, that would be my favorite bourbon. The Four Roses is great, which perhaps ironically to this discussion, used to be shit. And then about, what was it? Oh, it might be 20 years ago now. Perhaps ironically, it was bought out by the Japanese. And now it's a great bourbon. So yeah, Four Roses is a fantastic bourbon. I like it very much. I think you did great. Would I happen to know a good First Amendment attorney in Montana? No, not really. My recommendation to find attorneys, if you don't know them, is AVVO, avvo.com. It's a great place to find attorneys, great place for recommendations. So AVVO is probably the best. Either that or Martindale Hubble. Those are the two good places to look for attorneys. Martindale Hubble and AVVO. Go there and find some recommendations. Can I appeal the denial of a fee waiver in Virginia? District Court. I'm a senior. I don't have much money. I got the fee favor the first part of wrongful eviction, but I'm asking him answer what bank. I'm not sure I 100% answer the question, and you'd be better off asking a housing attorney in Virginia. To be honest, it was not my field of law, and so I'm not as familiar with that. You could. Most attorneys will give you a half hour for free for a consult. So it'd be. Have I tried absinthe? It's been a long time since I've had absinthe, but it's cool. I don't really like licorice though, so that's a bit of a problem. Any pardons by Trump have to be done by tonight or tomorrow? Yeah, I mean, they have to absolutely be done by 12 o'clock tomorrow. And depending on Biden's mood, they have to be accepted by then. Weller, Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare, I agree. But Eagle Rare is a very good bourbon from Buffalo Trace. I've been there too. Okay, so I think we're through the chats. So let us go over to the YouTube comments. And we'll do some of those. Okay, great. There we go. That looks good. Same girl, same on the licorice. Oh my God. You never had a drink of alcohol? That's cool. I don't disrespect you if you don't drink alcohol. That's fine. All right, that's fine. It's a personal choice. That's cool. So let's see what we got on some of the YouTube chats that we want to talk about. Favorite moment of 2021, watching Uncivil demonstrate what a sock puppet is. Yeah, that was an interesting moment because there was as soon as I finished the description, there was a guy who said we all know what a sock puppet is. And then immediately after that, two people said, I'm not from the US. Thank you for explaining what a sock puppet is. Someone had mentioned it on Emily's chat that they didn't know what a sock was. Right? They didn't know what a sock was. So the reason I made that is because people were asking on the chat in Emily's. And I was like, okay, I'll describe what a sock is. And then the guy says, everyone knows what a sock is. Stop explaining it. And then two people said, I didn't know what a sock was. Thank you for explaining it. Just shows you can't make people happy, man. What state was the plane flying over at the time? No one knows for sure. That was the part of the reason the Congress passed the law they did. What is the brand that's what is the brand of the when I say you? It's I forget what the name of the brand is. What someone else who's been looking for it recently. What is the name of the brand of the Texas Pecan whiskey? Got an en banc, baby. Yeah, that's always fun. The gesture made it highly amusing. That's cool. Kumo. So if it saves even one life, that's worth it. So you're saying all lives matter. That's a cute comment. I like that. The thumbnails for this series are amazing. Well, thanks. I made them myself, and I'm not sure how great they are, but they're working out. I tried a video on Jake Angel, the shaman dude, but wasn't able to. Have I covered him? Nope, not yet. On an unrelated note, Bill Maher just did a video on Ashil Babbitt, where he's accused in the state of South Carolina of caring more about toxic whiteness than predatory lenders who they're running. I bet. He mentioned that she used to be an Obama supporter. Yeah, I'm sure. Don't commit crimes, but if you can't avoid committing crimes, don't commit them on planes. That's a good example. Someone said they enjoyed my view on the crystal ball. Appreciate different view. Thank you. You describing sock puppets? I love it. Merch idea? Maybe. That might be fun as a merch idea someday. We could get some sock puppets. That could be cool. Good content. It's fun watching professionals analyze these cases. I hope your channel keeps growing. Thank you very much, Kitty K. UL 2 stopped right around the R word. I'm not sure what that means. But yeah, YouTube particularly frowns on particular words being used in the first 30 seconds of the video. So when I'm discussing really sensitive subjects, I have to rewrite around it. And then people are like, why are you doing this? Why don't you just say the word? Cause monetization, cause YouTube, cause algorithm. You know, it's stupid, but that's where we are. On number 12, the government upgrade their Costco membership. I don't know what that means. In response to the number 12 T hour, which was only like 4.5 minutes long, because it was they arrested them on the scene, right? They arrested them on the scene. This guy says, nice, the government upgrade their Costco membership. What the hell does that mean? What the hell does that mean? Nice, the government upgraded their Costco membership. Okay. Balfour, I think that's right. What does DC stand for? District of Columbia. Columbia is one of the names of the country. You know, or yeah, and we didn't name ourselves Columbia in part because there was already a place called Columbia. But yeah, Columbia is one of the names of the country, and you know, it's interesting history there. A retired fireman used a fire extinguisher to assault police officers. Lock him up. You should be getting more views for these videos. They're gold. You look good today. How are you? Pretty good, I think. Thank you for doing this. Please stay safe. I try. If conservatives like order and boxes, why choose Trump? That's a very good question. Well, there's a lot of reasons to do that. Well, I mean, why they choose him in the primaries is the more operative question, because why they chose him in the general is more explanatory. The option is between them and Hillary. And if you have to pick between the two, obviously, the policy, on a purely policy level, the policies, and I think Trump has been pretty good on policies. He's been bad on a lot of other things, but on policy level, he's been pretty good, both internationally and domestically. So for a conservative Republican politician, Trump has been pretty good on policy. So insofar as that was what the people were looking for, they got that for sure. And of course, on a policy level, they'd be less happy with what the Democrats would do. So I think the Republicans, in part, voted for them because they hoped they get the policy they wanted. And I think they did get the policies they wanted. So good job there. Why he won the primaries is the more interesting question. Because he had a lot of competition. And I think the reason is partly because he had so much competition. It was 15 people or something at the start. The media was talking about Trump endlessly. If you remember that far back, gave him a lot of free press, So everyone was splitting the vote, 15 ways, and Trump was punching above his weight because of the name recognition. And I think some of that just continued. And also, on a practical level, Trump was willing to say F you to the Democrats on the culture war, which a lot of people liked. So, because the Democrats keep fighting the culture war, and he is willing to say, screw you on the culture war. So there's a lot of reasons the Republicans picked him. And as a Republican politician, he's been pretty good, all things considered, most of the time. That isn't to say that I approve of what anything in particular. And I've been particularly unhappy with what he's done in relation to losing the election, because he's behaved like a little pansy baby. And that's really annoying, because the Republicans, lest we remember, 4 years ago, were making all kinds of fun at the Democrats for not being able to accept the election. And now we look like jackasses. So that's great. We used to make fun of the woman in the yellow who was screaming no up into the void on election day. And now we look like complete jackasses on that one. So that was super bad. I don't think Trump broke the law, but I think he definitely increased the temperature. And I think the Republicans who stormed the Capitol are making the entire party look like hell. I don't know how many people that are, but still, although, then, so, yeah. But that's probably why. Who do I think would make a good Republican president? My choice is Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley from the great state of South Carolina is my pick for who I'd like to be president. Jose Rodriguez says we're going after the mod that deleted that comment. Yeah, you guys can fight amongst yourselves in Emily mod circle. I don't agree with everything you say, but I like hearing different opinions. I also hope you appreciate those who watch the video if we can't make it to a live. Of course. Of course. I always appreciate everyone who watches my content. And I appreciate everyone who says that they like what I say, even if they don't agree with it. They like my logic and its consistency and it's neutral. They like that I try to be consistent and even with my application of my rules, right? So people who don't agree with me, like, think that I'm generally pretty consistent, pretty self-aware, which is nice, right? Having self-awareness is plus. Yeah, there are a lot of Republicans who don't like Nikki Haley for some reason because she's more of a neocon. I don't think she's as neocon as some of the people on the right think that she is, but I think she'd be a great president. So we'll see. When LA went to Brown and said these women in his document is not me, did Brown not have a responsibility to correct it? No, Brown didn't have a responsibility to correct it. It wasn't one of his witnesses, was it, who said it initially? Who said it initially with the Lorianne thing being from the Department of Transportation? Who made that comment initially? Was it one of Brown's witnesses or was it one of Saltz's witnesses who did that? Was it one of Saltz's witnesses who did that initially? Who initially made that mistake by saying that Lorianne worked for the Department of Transportation? Was it Saltz's witness or was it Brown's witness? Does anyone remember? If it was Saltz's witness, then Brown wouldn't have an obligation. If it was Brown's witness, he probably does. So that would make a big difference. So when Brown failed, yeah, for the plaintiff, yeah, so that's right. So it was Saltz's witness, right? So it was Kim who made the mistake. So that's Saltz's witness who made the mistake. So Brown doesn't have, so that's right. That's what I thought. I just had to double check. Yeah, so Saltz would have the obligation if he knew, because his witness made the mistake. Brown doesn't have an obligation. So he can play tactics with it on his side. So, it wasn't his witness who made this mistake. He is under no obligation to correct it. So he can hold that back if he wants to. So, also on the mod issue, I don't think creators should be held responsible for the mod action. Yeah, I know, really, right? So, yeah. It's interesting how you keep bringing up Emily. You're an attorney. Why not just give your perspective and commentary? Well, I'm a fan of Emily's, and I talk about Emily at least in part because I watch her content too. And so parts where she says stuff, that I disagree with, I think it's good form to be like, Emily said this and I agree with this or disagree with this, right? So I can comment at least in part based on what she's doing. But yeah, I'm explaining my perspective the whole time. But if Emily's saying something, it's like, well, here's what's Emily said, and here's where I agree or disagree with what Emily said. Emily said this, and here's my perspective. So I don't quite understand this comment, to be quite honest. Yeah, and then here's one of the people who thought that they wanted to fight, between me and Emily D. Baker. Alexandra P. said, do people want you and Emily D. Baker to fight because of a difference of opinions? I find that hilarious. I watch and enjoy both your channels because you see things differently. Then I can form my own opinion and decide for myself. I don't know if they want us to fight, but we're not fighting. I think her analysis, I have no particular problem with her analysis, even where she disagrees with me. She has a different perspective, and she might even be right. So, it's fine. Cask and Crew Walnut Toffee whiskey is pretty good as well. $20 an excellent value. I might have to check that out. And now Chrome is being really, really slow for some reason. Please actually scroll the screen when I want you to. That would be great. Is it really unfounded when the recovery's email address is KJ? All right, so I don't know how this works or not. I guess I could just test it with my own Google account because I have two-factor authentication in. So I could just create another Google. In fact, I could just test it, right? So let me test it right now and find out whether or not I can add my own email address to another account of mine without authenticating. Well, no. Yeah, let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can add my main email account to another account that I also control and without logging in and authenticating. So this would be good. Let's find out if I can do this or not. Why don't we just test it? And since I'm testing it on my own account, it's not hacking. Yay. All right, because I can't hack myself. All right, so let's just try this. I'm not going to do this on screen, obviously, because I'm not going to show you my browser window. But I'll put my big mug on screen, and we'll test it. Let's find out if you can do this or not. All right, so let me just go to my alternative Google account and do this. And type in the password. No. Try. Ooh. Is caps lock on? Oh, it might be on. Now I have to hack into my own Google account because the password's not working for some reason. Shit. Hold on. Shit. Well, maybe I lost access to that account. That'd be good. Let me just show password and see if what I'm mistyping. Okay, well, apparently I forgot my own password, so that's nice. That's good. Oh my god. Okay. Text it to me. Great. I got an authentication code. I know this is fun for live TV, but let's just see if this is possible or not. Right, so we can just test it. Okay, create a password. Okay, let's do that. Great. Okay, great. Now I'm into that account, continue into Gmail. Great. I've successfully hacked into my own account. Fantastic. Now, let me add a recovery password of my other account and see if I can do that without logging into my other account. So, how do I add a recovery password? Let's see. It's got to be in settings or something somewhere. Manage it, maybe. Let's see. Data. How do I add a recovery account? Personal. Add recovery email. Sign into your recovery email page. Well, that's super helpful. Okay. Okay. Your recovery email is an address we use to release you in case we detect unusual activity or you get locked out. Great. Let me add my other account that I'm not signed into and see if I can do this, which incidentally has two-factor authentication and everything else. So can I add my own account to this or not? And it says updated. All right. Now it just updated. It didn't give me any prompt. Let me log into my other account using my other browser and see if I get a notice or something. Yeah. So then I get a notice. So then I do get a notice. The same notice that KJ has been getting. Yeah, the same notice KJ has been getting. Someone at kurt.mueller@gmail as a recovery email. Yeah, if you don't recognize this account, it's likely to add an error, disconnect. So it's the exact same email that Katie's been getting. So, yeah, apparently you can, in fact, do this. Even though I have two-factor authentication on my main account and all the rest of it, you can, in fact, add an email address for an account you don't control as the recovery email for it. So, there's that. Great. Just Me gave me $7.99 Australian. Happy belated birthday to put towards the bourbon, which I drink vicariously through you as I can't buy it there. This is the wrong test. You need to demonstrate that you can add account A to account B without having access to account A. Well, I can't add it as the recovery email of an address I can't log into. So I can't add the recovery email to account A unless I can log into account A to add it. That I don't understand what you're asking me. Yeah. Yeah, that's not how security works. Salt's got the email. Yeah, so there seems to be, I don't know. So there's some dispute over that or whatever. So I'll anyways log out of that account and we'll press on. So, anyways, where was I on channel comments? Yeah. And if they use their cell phone as a two-factor authentication, that can lead to its own problems. You can add any email in the world as your recovery email address. You can't use it until you confirm it on both accounts. Well, I mean, I can't use it as a practical matter because I can't log into that account if it's not my account. So I can set it up as my recovery account. It's just that I can't use it as a practical because I can't log into it. But, yeah. Paolo in the YouTube says, hypothetically speaking, your responsibility as KJ's lawyer is to ensure her best interests alongside with the sign motion, not to delete evidence, and in such documents is also mentioned in private communications such as email. Correct, right? I have to follow the orders of the court and ensure the best orders of my best. Yeah, if she's deleting stuff, she's not complying with the order. Correct. She wouldn't, but I can't compel her to comply with the order. I'm not her dad. I'm her lawyer. So I can tell her that she can't delete the stuff. She's deleting the stuff. She's in violation of the order, and I would have warned her, and she'll be responsible for those consequences. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I have to obey. I have to look out for the interests of my clients. I have to obey the orders of the court. Yeah. Oh, I'm not sharing what I'm reading on the screen anymore. Sorry about that. Forgot to switch back. Salt is a lawyer for Ryan's toy review, and there's still that silly sex lawsuit. He was pretty sure he's a little famous. Yeah, and Ryan's law review, Ryan's Taw review. I was thinking about covering it, but it got dismissed, and with leave to represent. So, whatever. But I was thinking about covering it, but it's kind of an old case now. I guess I could cover it in the past anyway. Is there any movement to change the name of manslaughter to something else because it sounds much worse than murder? I don't know. Not that I've ever heard. This guy says, laughing my ass off. Not you. Trying to discredit Emily's experience when you said yourself you have no experience in litigation. I don't think I was trying to discredit her experience. I was just saying that given her experience, she might not be familiar with something as I am. And maybe she is, but I wasn't discrediting her. And maybe she does know something I don't know. But it's like, yeah, the civil side of law can be really annoying. People can get really, really bitchy. And so she might not have that experience as much as criminal attorney. So I wasn't trying to undermine her experience. And then he responds to himself saying, although to be fair, this is the best and most unbiased breakdown he's had in a while. Been out of pocket lately. I don't know. Can we assume that he thinks it's the best and most unbiased breakdown because it favors the side he thinks should win? Is that the reason he thinks it's unbiased and fair? Because I was agreeing with the side that he thinks is right? I'm going to go with that. He thinks it was unbiased because it agrees with his prior conceptions. The lack of self-awareness on that one. And Paulus is the same thing. Oh, for once you're not drooling all over KJ. For real, didn't this dude want to dismiss over jurisdiction, so what is he doing? Good question. Also, isn't the document and declarations filled with Freudian slips? I'm not sure if I saw any in particular, but maybe there were that I missed. I appreciate your love of the law. Yeah, I love it a lot. It's great stuff. Y'all need Emily back. Missed a lot of facts. Did we? Between me and Nate, did we cover different stuff. We highlight different things. We think about things differently. We think different things are important. So we might have missed stuff, and we might have skipped it consciously because we think certain things are important and other things are less important. It's an assessment, all right, just like everything else. So I don't know if we missed anything, but okay. Can't make people happy, man. The description and wording Mr. Brown on the filing and declarations regarding Mr. Salt's actions make it seem that Salt is so harsh and accusatory. It did seem that way, and I thought it was a little uncalled for. Fine, you can accept that maybe he did that to put himself, Mr. Brown, in better light. It's totally unwarranted. However, Mr. Brown's presentation in the emails contradicts his own description. I agree. Mr. Salt's reads as formal, if not cordial, and informatory. I don't know, maybe I've read too many corporate back and forth, but those emails were pretty tame. I agree. And it does seem that Brown is the one that's principally poking the bear. Although maybe Salt struck first. Yes, I think Salt should strike first because he wrote that stuff in his... Wasn't it Salt who wrote that stuff in his motion about the good faith of the other side and whether or not they were acting in good faith and all the rest of it? Was that Salt who wrote that about the attorney not acting in good faith? Because I think Saltz might have struck first, but Brown has been very aggressive. And this is also why, incidentally, it's not a good idea, because you just wind up in this tit-for-tat fight where the people are just slapping each other, and it looks ridiculous. So I think Saltz might have struck the first blow on this one. They drew first blood, man. They drew first blood. You seem sad. Everything has been reshuffled and seems, yeah. Everyone not quite themselves, yeah. I'm sad too. This is the most I've written on this page. Depression is a problem sometimes. Yeah, so it was Saltz who struck first with the bad faith comment that was unwarranted in my paragraph, in my opinion. And so he struck first, and then I think Brown has definitely gone further than Saltz did, but Saltz drew first blood. It was unwarranted for Saltz to do that, in my opinion. It was bad pull. It was totally unnecessary. And maybe that set Brown off. And that can happen when this kind of thing happens. So, bad on Saltz for starting this. Yeah, Saltz drew first blood on this one. So Brown has gone to the wall because, to me, filing a bar complaint against another attorney, holy God, that's the kind of thing that will rile me right up in a hurry. But yeah, Salt's drew the first blood, and it went and spiraled out of control. Much probably like what happened between their clients, incidentally. I can't speak to the whole story between Toddy and Katie, obviously, because I haven't watched any of the videos, nor do I care to. But I wouldn't be particularly surprised if at some point, someone did something to provoke the other side, and then there was a bit of a retaliation and all spiraled completely out of hell. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the story of what happened. If someone poked someone, and then someone retaliated, and then it went to hell. Yeah. So, I'm just, yeah. Your live chat is impressive. So with Brown going for bar complaints, Salt's getting a bit aggressive. Yeah, but yeah, Salt started this. So this is a rodeo that was completely unnecessary, and now all gone completely to hell. Lewis, there's no real middle ground. When Lewis was saying that, he wasn't saying it as a statement of fact. He was stating that, the way I interpreted it when he said it, was that he was stating that this is the political positions people have marked out, like the parties have said. So like he was saying, like, Democrats say this and Republicans say this, and there's not middle ground. He wasn't stating, the way I interpreted what he said, he wasn't stating as a matter of fact that there is no middle ground. He was stating that based on the political conversation, there is no middle ground in the political conversation. That's what I understood him to be saying. So I think that Lord Immoralix has misinterpreted here. I want to know what Uncivil law thinks of the Fannie Mae conservatorship and the upcoming Supreme Court ruling. Well, until it's ruled on, I can't really comment on it, right? Because it doesn't exist yet. I'm not familiar with the case to give an opinion on it. I know they grant cert, but beyond that, I don't know anything about what's going on. As the conservatorship, I mean, I think it's probably warranted. Yeah. Now it's a whose dick is bigger show. Basically. Salt's probably needs to suck it up and try to seek peace. Because Salt's was the first bad actor. Can we have peace and try to unwind this all back? Because it's not good for their clients. One of the reasons there is so much paper in this is at least partially because the lawyers are bitching at each other, right? If Saltz had never written that comment, I don't think there would be as much paper filed in this case as currently exists. I think that it put Brown off, and that everything has been escalating, and they're fighting. They're fighting at each other now in the papers instead of their clients fighting at each other. It's become a little bit personal, and that's not something you want to see. Which is incidentally why the status conference is a good idea, because the judge needs to be like, okay, everyone needs to calm down, right? Everyone needs to calm down. Everyone needs to say sorry. Let's act like professionals, all right? Let's set this back and, try to reset everybody. That would be great. And then the judge could say, also, please don't file anything more. I think I have enough to decide the jurisdiction issue, which we had enough to decide like 8 papers ago. The jurisdiction issue is not becoming particularly more well-informed at this point. So I think the judge has everything he needs to roll on the only issue that matters at this point, which is the jurisdiction issue. The judge either thinks there is enough minimum context or there's not. He doesn't need anything more to reach that decision. He had enough information 8 papers ago. So everything has just been, no, you're wrong. No, you're right. It's like, oh my God. So the judge, I'm just like, stop. I'm good. I understand the issues. Please stop talking. I was good quite a long time ago. Sleeping Panda says, I appreciate that you read your case charitably to the other party. Just try to be fair to both sides as much as I can. Obviously, it's not always possible, but I'd give it a go. The account that tried to add Saltz's email is Kate's email. Maybe you're right. Let me take another look at that and see if you're right on the thing of what was going on there. Now, where do I have that document? Let me see if I made a mistake, which is quite possible. So let's take a look. Now, where would that be? That would be in Brown's request. No, it was on Saltz's. Oh, yeah. No, it is in Brown's request. I don't understand what this picture is. Enter the code when asked for it to show that Google can reach you at this email address. Do you have to be logged into her account to do that? I don't know if you have to be logged into her account to do that or not. And someone's trying to add KJ's email as a recovery email to Saltz's Twitter. Do you have to be logged into the account to do that on Twitter? Probably not. So yeah, I don't know if this is real or not. So I don't quite understand the tech. I don't understand how Twitter works on that in terms of the back end. I suppose again I could just go and try to do it in Twitter, right? So yeah, this is Twitter. No, this is Google. This email's from Google. And the code when asked for it to show Google can reach you at this address. Can I do a recovery message against an account that I don't control? I don't know. I'm not even sure how to test that. Yeah, so you don't have to be logged in. So yeah, I don't know that it's real. So meaning the hacker would have to have her password to make the reset request. No, I don't think that's true. I've yet to see you gone uncivil. Yeah, I'm more civil. The law itself can be uncivil. I'm a very civil guy. Hi, Kurt. Hello, Elisa Main. It's nice to have you here, as always. And now Google Chrome is being slow. I'm so confused by Antifa. So I'm so used to be called Antifa. Fair. That's funny. By the way, the judge is a she, not the he. I did misgender the pronoun. I misgender the judge there. Sorry about that, Your Honor. That was unintentional. My bad. If you think reporting to another attorney at the bar is a dick move, it's an incredibly dick move. What about the fact that Saltz was repeatedly called a pedophile? Yeah, but he wasn't called that by the attorney. He's called that by other people. Right? So when I'm saying this, I'm talking about what the attorneys are doing to each other. Attorneys have codes of ethics. Right? We belong in the brotherhood. So is Saltz being called a pedophile good? No, of course it's not. Was it Brown who's doing it or orchestrating it? I hope not. So unless Brown himself was orchestrating or directing it, it doesn't go to my point. And the hackers planned evidence to get in trouble. Again, unless Brown was directing it, it doesn't go to my point. My whole point is about how attorneys treat each other, not how randos treat attorneys. So, yeah, no. I mean, obviously, those are really dick moves too, but it's a dick in a completely different domain. Attorneys have a code. We have a brotherly code. You know, we're not supposed to disparage other attorneys. We're not supposed to disparage the profession. You know, it's unseemly. It's against ethics to disparage the profession, to disparage an attorney. You know, so here, it's not good. Your content just keeps getting better. I tend to agree. Thank you. And I'm very happy with my own improvement, and I know I can continue to improve, but thank you. Two things I want to note. I think it's really annoying that people compare Emily's views to yours in a manner that seems it wants to pin you two against each other. So here's another guy who thinks the chat is trying to pit us against each other. I didn't necessarily think that was what's happening, nor is it a thing that's happening. Because so far, all Emily's opinions have been within the bounds of what I consider to be a reasonable opinion. Right? Even like the attorney's ethics thing. I think she might very well be right. Her opinion might be right. It might be better than my opinion. So, her opinion's more conservative than my opinion. But her opinion might actually be right. So she thinks it was completely beyond the pale, and I'm less convinced. But I think she might actually be right, even though I haven't gone that far yet, right? So I'm like, yeah, that might be the right opinion. I haven't gotten sold yet, but she might be right. So I'm like, even though that's that, I It's like, it's fine. Until she says something completely off the wall, they're not going to start a fight between us. Yeah, I like the respectful disagreement and comparison you give. I think people on Emily's channel are doing the same thing. Maybe they are. I don't know. I just think people should really mind their own business. I don't know. It's fine by me. Stay friends with Emily. I think you could talk kindly about the group and ignore the haters. I'm totally ignoring the haters. It's not a problem. Second, I really appreciate your political take on the election. Seriously, I think most Republicans think that way. Yeah, that's probably true. The crazies always get the most press, right? Great content breakdown. I'm rooting for you and Nate and Emily to be all super successful. Thank you. That's very kind. Yeah. Emily and I have very different approaches. We think about things very differently. She has very different reactions to me. Her reactions on an emotional level, not on a logical level, not on a analysis level, but her reactions on an emotional level confuse and bewilder me. But that doesn't speak to her analysis, which is pretty right. Her emotional reaction is like this giddy thing that I don't completely understand, nor do I particularly want to understand. It's strange and mysterious to me. It's like, what the hell is this? But yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I love the brown sugar and pecan letter. Every time I go to Outer Banks, they make a rum one. That's cool. I'll check into it. How much time have I been here? An hour 30. We'll go a little bit longer. This is the most compelling breakdown I've heard from conservatives who has objectively looked at the evidence. Yeah, I was thinking, I was considering the possibility, and I don't know if this is a good idea or not, because it would take a lot of time, and I don't have a lot of time because I'm already doing enough stuff as it is. But I was thinking about trying to break down like all the Trump election suits, because they're all done now, so I could break them all down separately. That would take forever because I think there's like 60 of them. If I did one a week, it would take more than a year. And yeah. So I was thinking about it. Like I could just break them down and say why they're all individually crap. But I don't know that anyone cares or would respond to it positively. I don't know what the point would be. I don't know what the goal would be by doing it. I mean, the conservatives and Republicans would hate it, and I don't know what the gain would be. But I was thinking about it. I was like, should I do a thorough breakdown of the lawsuits of Trump? First of all, it'd take a year and change. Second of all, I don't know if it would be good for the channel. Third of all, just irritate everyone, piss them off. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Let me know what you think. I think Katie Joy is either delusional or a genius. Now she comes up with these conspiracies whereby she hacked someone in her account to go and use the same account to hack the lawyer. I don't know if it's more of a madhouse theory like Flack or it's brilliant. Well, there does seem to be evidence to support the conclusions based on what I can tell. Yeah, just do the FBIT. I think you're probably right. Wish I could subscribe multiple times. Appreciate that, Laura. Get mobile accounts. Subscribe with us. Yeah. Yeah, maybe after FBIT will never end. FBIT will never end. After we get through all the arrests, which God knows when that's going to be, we're going to have the plea deals that we'll have to read. So we can't follow all these cases cover to cover. We'll just go insane. But we could cover the plea deals, and we could cover like final convictions. But yeah, I could do the couple that got post motion to dismiss, maybe. Video number 1 is unavailable. Haranguing, you learned a new word. That's cool. Found it on Discord. I'm glad. Tell me one of the officers he hit wasn't Sick Nick. Yeah, no, it wasn't Sick Nick. No, that was a different officer, I think. Yeah, so that's a different guy. Thank you for becoming a supporter. Yeah, the FBIT is just starting to get better. I think you're right. FBIT is going to go on for months. It's going to go on for years. Years. Because, we'll have the pleas and we'll have, oh my God, it's going to go on forever. Retired fireman, disgraceful, I agree. Who else is putting stickers on their map with each video? Gonna go buy a wall map early tomorrow. Yeah, we should print off a map and we should just highlight them in as we go. The plea deals are going to be interesting. Also, Uncivil law, you forgot about people's ex turning them in as a way of the FBI finding them. Fair. And I also didn't really see the dating app thing coming. I guess I could technically squeeze that into social media if I really wanted to, but yeah, I didn't really see the dating app thing coming. And I guess I should have thought jilted. That was a give me that I should have got. So that's a fair, because I should have thought jilted person was a pretty obvious give me. So, but it's only a give me because they saw it somewhere. So that's that kind of, because unless they confess to their ex, which is kind of like confessing to the FBI, the jilted person would have to seen it on social media or something. So they did get exposed from the social media. So it depends how the ex come into that knowledge. So unless they told the ex about it, which definitely could happen, they got that information from the video recordings and they really were captured by the social media. So, depends on your point of view, I guess. The ankle bracelet is pretty clutch. Yeah. I'd be a fan of legal breakdowns, but you'll be bombarded by a certain crowd if you're anything less than 100% support of Trump. I can't be 100% support of Trump. I actually have to look at it and try to raise a legal analysis. And I have to try to be fair. And I have to try to reach the reasoned conclusion as best as I'm capable of. And that is not going to necessarily be in favor of Trump every time. Can't possibly be. Because I'm actually going to think. And he might be wrong about something. Or my lawsuits might not be good. It's possible. The GPS, the favorite one is posting Discord. Selfie sent to a girlfriend's brother who works for the feds. He works for the feds and was sent to him? That's nice. That's a good one. That's plus. He sent it to the guy who works for the feds. That's genius. Yeah, that's good. Welcome to Calico Cat. Thank you for joining. That's awesome. Did I see the Washington Post timeline video of the Capitol riots? I haven't seen the Washington Post. I saw that it exists, but I haven't watched it yet. Only 11. It feels like more when I watch them over and over. We will never be done. We will never, ever be done. Louis Rossman, best crossover, needs 800,000 views. I was very disappointed with the performance of that video. Now, part of that was because I only had like a half hour to announce it because Louis Rossman was late in confirming the time. And that was part of the problem, but I was really disappointed. And it's only got 9,000 views or something on his channel with 1.1 million subscribers. So I was really disappointed that didn't drive a little bit more traffic my way, but they can't all be winners, I guess. For those of us who do sociological research, the way you read through the complaints highlights the difference between law and the legal consequences. The writers have very complex, counterintuitive ideas of what police agencies are for and what their own actions do as interpretation of the law. Don't change the thing unless you get bored. This is good stuff for mapping out further legal consequences. Yeah, it's good. And just to remind people that rioting is bad, don't do the rioting. Someone said I scooped rackets on this one. Chat's been trying to get that drunken bum to do this interview for months. There you go. What up, Lewis? I was really disappointed that video didn't do better. Yeah, if I can find something more to talk about Lewis with, I hope we could schedule another one with more advance, but it didn't really perform well on this channel. Let me just check real fast how well it's doing on this channel, but it didn't really do well at all. Let's just check. Louis Rossman. Check his videos. Yeah, it's got 12,000 views on his channel. I get 12,000 views for some of my videos on my channel. He has 1.37 million subscribers. And it's got 12,000 views, man. Although, yeah, I don't know. So I'm a little bit disappointed it didn't drive more traffic. Oh, well. You're pumped about watching it? I thought the interview went well, though. I thought it was good. I thought we had a good conversation. I was just disappointed it didn't do more for the channel in terms of driving traffic. You would think with a 1 million subscriber channel and tagging him and promoting it on his own channel, you get a little bit more crossover. And that didn't happen. So that's annoying, I mean, he has almost as many subscribers as LegalEagle does. And so, I think you get a little bit more. I'm Canadian. My 14-year-old daughter wants to be a lawyer. She's loving the FBIT series. She can't believe how ignorant so many Americans are about their own laws. We need to know more. I'm sure Canadians are equally ignorant about their own laws. I don't think this is a uniquely American problem. I'm sure there are plenty of Canadians who are just as dumb. So, yeah. But I'm glad if your daughter wants to be a lawyer, that's awesome. She doesn't already have one, give her a copy of the Constitution and the Charter and whatever else there is, the major legal documents. And that's where I started my love with it. It's like, it's the greatest stuff ever. Not just reasonable suspicion, reasonable articulable suspicion that crime has been committed. Fair? Yeah, I mean, if it's reasonable, you should be able to articulate it. So I'm not sure there's much of a technical difference between reasonable suspicion and reasonable articulable suspicion. But, okay, that crime has been committed. Yeah. They have to have reasonable articulable suspicion a crime has been committed. Yeah. Or that they're breaking the law, right? So, okay. Canadians are probably more ignorant about the law. They might very well be. Question, would you be interested in doing a live with Emily and Nate again on your channel? Sure. It could be a monthly series and you rotate channels. That's a good idea. I should suggest it to Emily. Nate and I are already doing a weekly series, but we could throw in Emily on a monthly basis. That'd be fun. Yeah. So we could rotate. That could be good. If you like bluegrass, may I recommend a group called Grandpa's Cough Medicine? Have not heard that one. The one man my daughter may not ever bring home, better not bring home. That's funny. Regarding the paragraph about Cooker v. Georgia, the court writes as if Congress does know what everything it passes means. That seems impossible. Well, they assume that, yeah. I mean, what else can you do but assume that they meant the words that they wrote? What else can you do but assume that, right? It's like, well, those are the words they wrote, so they must have known what they were writing. Like, even if, what else can you do, right? I feel for the court. Why wouldn't that factor into the court's consideration? Because they can only deal with what Congress actually did. They can only deal with Congress actually wrote. If they start trying to rewrite it because what Congress really meant was blank, right? They're acting as a legislature. So the conservatives will never do that, or they shouldn't, at least. When one can query about if Roberts did that in the ACA case and how conservative he is or otherwise, but I digress. Anywho, the conservatives in particular were like, well, this is the words that Congress wrote, and they're masters of the law, so they must have known what they wrote, and even if they didn't, it's like, that's what they're stuck with. So it's like, yeah, why wouldn't that factor into the court's consideration? Because conservatives don't do that. They're like, yep, they're the ones who write the law. We're just here to interpret the words they wrote. For better or worse, man, we're just going to read the words on the page. And whatever they say, we're going to do that. Congress learn how to law better. I don't know, man. If contradictions do exist, shouldn't it simply result in a deadlock of some sort for Congress to fix it? Nope. Not to the conservatives. It's like, they wrote it. They must have meant these words. We're going to do that. So no, that's not a conservative philosophy. And it's not a conservative philosophy because the alternative is, well, they wrote these words, but that's not really what they meant because they're dumbasses. What they were trying to say or what they meant to say are these alternative words. And we're just going to change, and we're going to fix what they wrote because they're a bunch of dumbasses. And before long, you're just changing entire statutes because what they really meant to say was blah, blah, blah. And you've turned yourself into a super legislature because now you're legislating. So the conservatives just are like, nope, we're just going to do the words on the page. They made what they wrote, and they're God. Which, that's a conservative approach. So that's why not. Because the conservatives think it's dumb. And Matthew points out, unless it's an administrative agency because of Chevron and stuff, and we don't have time to get into that. Chevron, our brand X, man. The trifecta. When am I going to be a Nick show get next? Scheduling with Nick is hard. Nick, by his own admission, admits that he's bad with following up. And I can confirm, Nick is in fact bad with following up. And I don't like chasing. I don't like it always being me who is following up with him. He'll really respond to me, and then he'll forget about me. And it's really kind of annoying sometimes, to be honest. So I'm like, I could keep pursuing it because, he obviously wanted to do it. But Nick, by his own admission, is not great with the follow-up. And, yeah, he's not great with the follow-up, and it's a little annoying. So when will he be on next? I don't know, man. I like him, but I wish he was a little bit better with the follow-through, I think it's not, and it'd be interesting to see how his legal analysis has changed, because he seems to have gone more down the right-wing path. He seems to have done wonders for his channel, though. He's gained 50,000 subs in a month and change or something. So whatever he's doing it right. So, Nick is in fact bad. Such a betrayal. Don't misquote me, man. He's bad with the following up. Lord. Can I pick a day to do a marathon of FBIT? Oh, I don't know, man. Jesse Killjoy. How's textualism different from civil law? Well, it wouldn't be in the purest version of it. But even the textualists believe in precedent. So now how much that controls is, but there's no really pure textualists out there. Maybe Thomas is the closest, because he's willing to upend things, but most people are more loyal to precedent. Thomas is much more like burn it all down, let's just do it the way it was supposed to be. So Thomas is pretty extreme on that end and less loyal to precedent by far. But even most textualists still have precedent, or they believe in precedent. So that's why, in a common law system, the textualists are still bound by their own terms to what the courts have done before. But a pure textualist would be pretty much a civil law system. Yeah. But even the textualists don't usually go that far, because they think precedent has value, which it does. And the civil law system doesn't really believe in that as much. So that's what the difference is. Yeah, Alex says if you really want, he'd get back to you probably. Calco says you have to decide if you want to pee this out audience. I couldn't do it. I tried and I couldn't do it. You could do a batch record and separate them into individual videos, maybe. We'll do 7 more minutes and we'll be here for 2 hours. That's good. Nick is biased. Trump or nothing. I had to unsubscribe. But it's done such wonders for his channel. And I don't know up to the extent he really believes it or not. But he's gained 50,000 subs, man. I want 50,000 subs, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it because it was just too much for me. I couldn't appease the Trumpers, because I couldn't go as far as they wanted me to go. And so that was kind of disappointing. I had to leave. Apparently I left 50,000 subs on the table. So, You have your doubts about getting to Hawaii? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's long travel and it's very Democrat heavy. I don't know. I have faith. I have faith that Hawaii will pop out in this picture at some point. There's got to be one. There's got to be one in there somewhere. Yeah. The opposite of defenestrate is fenestrate. Apparently it's infenestrate. We looked it up. Yeah, apparently the opposite of defenestrate is infenestrate, which I didn't know was a word, but now we all do. So yay. Yeah, infenestrate. Yeah, defenestrate is to throw someone out of the window, or it's a little bit broader. Also leave by a window. And infenestrate is to come in through a window. So yeah. So there you go. I'm relatively new to your work, so I'm not sure if you're an attorney or not. I am. He's an attorney out of Texas. That's misleading. I am out of Texas, but I'm not an attorney in Texas. I'm a Virginia attorney. I'll be a Texas lawyer later. Clickbait is lucrative but unethical and soulless. Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to do it. He may have gained themselves, but will he stick for the long run? Who knows? Yeah. Do you really want a following of sycophants? Sycophants to me? Maybe. A ever loyal army loyal to me? Could be good. I don't know. The other night, he said he was going to reach out to you and others possibly stream with in Colombia. Okay, cool. That's awesome. I'll try to reach out to him again. I'm only 10 minutes in and out. And 10 in the TR. Two people. Okay, this should be good. So this is a right winger who's going to bust my balls. So let's read a right winger that's going to bust my balls. From Kirk Kellen. I'm only 10 minutes in and now I'm out. Two people attended a protest and trespassed into a public building, presumably as an act of protest. One broke glass that was already broken. So in effect, those two were saints. Compared to any of the about 10,000 individuals that participate in trespassing, disorderly conduct, theft, vandalism, murder, assault, arson, destruction of property, and more over the summer in response to George Floyd, few of which have been identified in the public sphere, much less charged by the police. Well, I kind of agree with him, in part, and that's a failure of state and local police for the principal part. And I wish all those people, and I don't know how many of them have been arrested or prosecuted, not nearly enough in my view. And it's a shame that so many state and local governments are letting Antifa and BLM get away with crap because they agree with the politics of BLM. That sucks. What we should have is rule of law, right? And when cities and states are not doing rule of law because they like the message, that's shit. That's politically biased. It's viewpoint discrimination too. So I agree with them in part. Like, I have no problem with BLM and Antifa being held responsible for the crap they did. And they should be. And the fact they're not is more than a little annoying. But I don't think that's justification enough to not hold these people responsible. Because this is the philosophy essentially of everyone is guilty, so no one is to blame. Right? And that's not great. Like, everyone is, everyone is speeding, so no one is to blame, right? Or everyone is doing it, so no one is to blame. So yeah, the everyone is guilty and no one to blame thing is not great, and it's not particularly conservative. So, do I think the Antifa and BLM people should be held responsible for all their many, many crimes? Yes, I do. Do I think it's annoying they're not being held responsible? Yes, I do. Do I wish more of them would be held responsible? Yes, I do. Do I think that's justification enough to not hold these people responsible for their crimes? Nope. I think their governments should do better. Do better, state of Washington. In particular, do better, state of Washington. That'd be great. But I don't think that's reason enough to not do these people. Anyways, your celebratory view of the story is too biased to be of value to me. I'm celebrating because people are getting the justice they rightly deserve. As you think, Antifa and BLM should get the justice they deserve. And so do I, for that matter. And if they got their justice, I'd be celebrating that too. These latest videos aren't about legal issues. They are. But, it's entirely about people shaming you disagree with politically. I don't really disagree with them politically. I disagree with their actions. I might agree with some of them politically, at least in part, because they're more, I can't speak to it, but some of them are more likely to be to my politics than not. Now, some of them might be more extreme than my politics, but some of them I probably I agree with politically, but the politics of the situation is not relevant, nor is the politics of BLM for that matter. I think they're all bad. They're all bad. They're all breaking crimes. Arrest them all. Your attempted derangement syndrome has gotten the better of you. I don't have TDS. I support Trump politically, or at least his policies. I think Trump was a pretty good president politically. I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. I thought he was a very decent on policy. I thought his foreign policy was good. I thought his domestic policy was good. I thought his economic policy was pretty good. He could have been better on COVID. That would have been nice. In terms of the messaging, that would have been good. So he kind of blew that one a little bit. But otherwise, I thought he was pretty good. I thought the tax cuts for businesses were very good. I very much approved of his Supreme Court nominees and his judicial nominees in whole. I approved of his regulatory moves and shaking stuff out of the federal regulations. Trying to simplify that. That was good. I thought his policy to China was great. He got peace in the Middle East, 3 peace deals. That was major. So I don't really have Trump derangement syndrome. I thought he did a lot of good, and his policies as a whole were pretty conservative and pretty Republican. I didn't really like his rhetoric very much because he wasn't selling people on why conservatism is good. So he didn't understand it from philosophical, or at least he didn't explain it from philosophical origins. So he wasn't convincing anyone that wasn't already on his side, which is a bit annoying, because the conservatives have some really deep ideas that are important, and we should spread the word so more people will believe. And he wasn't really helping with that mission so much, so that was kind of annoying. But yeah, I don't really have Trump derangement syndrome, so you kind of misread me on that one. Instead of performing a public good, you're now gleefully causing harm. I'm out. Yeah, I think you might have missed that one a little bit. Yeah. Uncivil. Joseph says in chat, have you ever heard Bob Grant from the radio? Perhaps you could take a page out of his book, a bit more combat law. Just a suggestion. I don't know who Bob Grant is. Will one of my mods in admin please just tag me and remind me to look up who Bob Grant is? Because that might be interesting to see if he has anything to offer. So that might be cool. Just let me know what's going on there. So I think this guy has misread me and what my intentions are. Queen Sharon said Portland, Mullinauth County DA Mike Schmidt rejected 721 cases, is pursuing 144 and has 165 under review. Cite constitutionality issues from Occupy Wall Street prosecutions. Don't know what those issues are, and I can't speak to the validity of those decisions without individually reviewing them. I don't know the degree to which I would agree or disagree with them. So maybe that's the right legal call, maybe not. Maybe there are problems with the issues. But, I hope that everyone who's doing bad things should get what they deserve. So should those 721 cases be dismissed? I don't know without looking into them. What the basis of that is. I don't know what constitutional issues he's referring to. But, good stuff there. I imagine this is a challenge to content creators. What kind of crowd do you want to attract with your content? What sort of detractors do you want? Very fair. That's all fair. I'll admit that I disagree with your political readings, but what keeps me subscribed to your channel is your commentary to cases you review, and that you do base your perspective on the language of law. Conservatives could learn very much from you overall. Keep doing what you're doing, Uncle Blackleaves. Right. I actually try to apply conservative philosophy, as much as I'm able to. So all that good stuff. So, yeah. Anywho's, I've been here 2 hours and 3 minutes. So I think that is pretty good for the weekly chat. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the time. Remember that you can engage me on Discord. The link is in the description below. It's the best place to find me by far. I don't check Twitter that much. I don't check Facebook that much. I'm on Discord. So it's the best place to find me, to coordinate with me or chat with me. If you're liking this content, if you've not done it already, could you please hit the like button? It doesn't cost you anything. And it would really help the channel go. Just hit that little thumbs up icon. Make sure it's lit so that I get the like. Always plus. If you're not already a member, and so many of you are, and thank you for joining, for 99 cents you too can become a member. So hit the link in the description, or hit the link in the bot that's telling you, or hit the join button, all that good stuff. So that'll be good. And, please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. That'd be awesome. I really appreciate how many of you are helping to subscribe. That's really great. We're making some steady progress. I'm starting to see some growth. I hope we can maintain it, and I hope we can improve on it. So that'd be awesome. Until later, my friends, I hope all is well. Cheers, and goodbye.